Well, NASCAR at Pocono, I don't know, whenever you want to drive this track, whether it be in a game or iRacing or even the drivers themselves, I think you'll always hear praise about Pocono because Pocono is a fun track. It's very different, it's unique, and it's definitely very fun. But damn, what a poor race. And to be fair, we shouldn't be surprised. And the reason why we shouldn't be surprised is because, especially from last year's Pocono race in the Xfinity Series, I remember saying that was one of the worst races I've ever seen, and it's because, well, this track is exactly what this package doesn't like. You have to lift off the throttle a lot more than you kind of want to. You have to use the brakes a little bit, and you have no power and no torque coming off the corners because there's no horsepower underneath you. So this track basically is the perfect storm for not giving this package a good shot. Indianapolis is going to be very similar because at Indianapolis you're going to have to do the same thing. They're going to have to slow down, and they're going to have no power coming off the corners, and the draft was not that effective, and that was kind of disappointing. So overall, the race itself, I mean, usually when I do a race review, you guys, I talk about like what happens during the race. I can't do that. I mean, it's very difficult to talk about what happened during the race because not much happened. There was no passing. There was literally nothing. And usually I'm not one that's, oh, it has to have passing to have a good race. No, I mean, usually, strategy, it plays a part in things. And yeah, I think this race, let me move the mic out of the way. I don't like when the mic's in the shot. Yeah, this race had a lot of strategy. And I think if you watched it, you saw that strategy play out. And I think you could enjoy parts of it. But it was, I don't know. Basically, I think it was Clint Boyer in this post-race interview said it best. I mean, once you came out of turn one on a restart, it's about where you were going to run. And that's really disappointing. But again, it's just not surprising. I think we said that, or I said that, and a lot of fans have said that over the past few good races that we've had with this package, especially at Charlotte and Kansas, is that this package will definitely shine at certain tracks, especially in certain daytime conditions or nighttime conditions. You want to race this thing at night. Whenever you have to slow down too much with this package and you have no horsepower to underneath your feet, it's not going to do anything. I think when we've watched Pocono races, what are some of the best Pocono races we've watched? I remember last year, not critiquing Pocono that much. I actually enjoyed the race, and I remember the reason why I enjoyed the race is because, especially in turn one, drivers were going so fast in the corners they had to use a lot of brake and get off the throttle a lot, but they had a lot of power underneath them, and they were able to get that power back in the center of the corner and drive up underneath cars coming out of the corner. You saw none of that today. There was not a single instance where a driver was able to gain in the middle of the corner and get up underneath someone coming off of the corner, mainly because there's just no off throttle time. If I get back to the gas quicker than the other guy, my throttle response is not going to be as aggressive as the other guy, and they could just use that dirty air to keep me back. So this entire race was about track position. This entire race was about manipulating the stages and the cautions to find a way to get that right strategy. And that's a different kind of race, and I think in some instances, those kind of races can be very good, like Monaco in the Formula One race. And Monaco usually is a terrible race. But this year at Monaco, I felt like it was a really good race because just how instances and circumstances played out, you had Lewis Hamilton on a unfavorable little strategy and Verstappen trying to run him down and pass him, and this kind of cat and mouse game that was very, very intriguing. Yes, Verstappen never passed him, but there was always that chance, and there was always that kind of anticipation that something might happen. With a few laps to go, Verstappen went down through the chicane and tried making a move, and it didn't work out, but that's what the race was building up to. Here, there was no instance where you thought the leaders were going to get passed. I mean, they were close, maybe like a second apart, maybe even a few tenths apart for a lot of the time. But man, was it, no one from the back of the pack could get their way up. I mean, we had a point where Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childress in the first stage literally pitted before the competition caution, and they gained about probably one spot in their whole strategy play. But that's what they were trying to get to because they knew they couldn't get up towards the front. And all the crew members were thinking to themselves, how do I get my driver up towards the front so they don't have to pass anyone? And that's not a good strategy, especially a track that's a 2.5 mile track. It's very large, very big. There should be passing opportunities, and it didn't play out. So again, I'm not going to touch on the strategy too much because there's a lot of different strategies going on throughout the entire race. But Kyle Larson did have a good day with stages. I mean, he won a few, and that was mainly because of pit strategy and how that all worked out as well. But it looked like some of the fastest guys, especially the beginning of the race, actually, I thought William Byron had a solid chance of winning this race because I was like, wait a minute, if they just keep him up front, who's gonna pass him? There's not gonna. I mean, he may get passed by maybe one or two cars, but he's not gonna fall back that much, and you get a solid finish. But just the way strategy played out, William Byron tried to stay up towards the front to get those stage points and maybe even a stage win, and then other guys like Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott and all these other guys would come down pit road. Clint Bowyer, Denny Hamlin, they'd come down pit road and just get up towards the front for the next stage. So very much like a road course kind of race. But road courses are just a little bit more entertaining. A few cautions here or there for certain drivers like Austin Dillon getting turned by Paul Menard. So that was unfortunate for Dillon, who's been having a good season, especially for that RCR team. Martin Truex Jr. blew up. He had a rare engine issue, which is not normal nowadays in NASCAR because you would think that engines are very durable, but Truex had an engine issue. And a few other incidents here or there. I mean, Larson did hit the wall pretty hard at the final stage there with just a few laps to go. Thought he was clear. Clint Bowyer was not clear. Bowyer ended up turning him to the outside wall because he had nowhere to really go. And so I'm surprised that actually doesn't happen more often with this package, where drivers think they might not be clear and they try pushing it a little bit. And maybe, if there's not give and take, that's what happens. So Larson got sent to the outside wall and his car was destroyed at that point. But if we're talking about battles for the lead, not much. I mean, it's just, again, a strategy game to get it towards the front. And Kyle Busch played it best. Brad Keselowski did a great job. Him and his crew chief did a great job. Eric Jones did a great job as well throughout the entire race. He was up towards the front for most of the race, played the right strategy, and was able to get up there. And unfortunately, wasn't able to pull out the win, but he had a really good run that I think he needed. I think he's moved up to 15th in the point standings now, so that's very important. But at the end of the day, Kyle Busch wins the race. That's 4 wins on the season, I think it is. But it ends a very dull kind of race. Nothing really to talk about. It was a very, very dull race, in my opinion. So let's go to the race results. We have Kyle Busch, Keselowski, Jones, Elliott, and Bowyer rounding out the top 5. Kyle Busch obviously having a very, very good season. Keselowski also, too, having a very, very good season. With Eric Jones, probably I would want to say driver of the day for me because he did a very, very good job the entire day, stayed up towards the front, and got a solid finish. Chase Elliott, that is his 5th straight top 5 finish now, I think it is. So that 9 team is definitely on a roll. Again, I don't think they have race-winning speed every week, but they are getting the best finishes they can, and they're definitely fast. They are definitely a top 5 car week in and week out, I think, with the speed that they have. You got to get the track position at the right time and then see what happens. So Elliott's been doing very well. Clint Bowyer with a solid 5th place finish. Had a few disappointing finishes recently, so good finish for him. Denny Hamlin getting back on track. He's needed a good finish for a while as well. He gets 6th place finish. Joey Logano quietly gets into 7th. Suarez, Byron, and Almirola round out your top 10. William Byron again with a solid run. We just need to see a little bit more in the race. I mean, they have great qualifying speed. We're calling him Rocket Willie from now on. But there's just a little bit missing from the middle to the end of the race where they just lose a little bit of track position. I think this race wasn't necessarily his fault. And it put Chad Canales in a tough position as well because they need those stage points. They need those going for those stage wins. But it sacrificed the track position, and they kind of got in trouble from that point on. But they still get a 9th place finish, so it's good for them. Kurt Busch in 11th, Hemrick, Buscher, Bowman, and Newman. There goes your 16th. DeBenedetto, after an early spin, gets in 17th. Paul Menard, Jimmy Johnson, and Michael McDowell. Jimmy with a pretty disappointing finish compared to the rest of his teammates. Bowman a little bit disappointing from a few recent weeks, but overall, Hendrick Motorsports have been doing better. So that's good for them. Bubba Wallace with a 21st place finish. He was running 11th at one point in the race. He was doing well, so I think that finish doesn't necessarily portray where he should have been, but he was doing well. Kevin Harvick had a pit road penalty and ended up in 22nd place. For Harvick, the season has basically consisted of he's fast, but not the fastest, and then there's a mistake or something that happens where it derails their race, pretty much. So that's something that Harvick needs to figure out and get well, but if they can catch a hot streak, I expect them to win a few races, so not really surprised with them. Priest, Chastain, Bailey Curry. I didn't even know Bailey Curry was in this race. I have no idea who Bailey Curry is, but congratulations on being in the Cup Series, and I hope you do very well. Kyle Larson in 26, Ty Dillon, Reed Sorensen, Quinn Hoof, Landon Castle, David Reagan, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Tift, and everyone else. You see Martin Truex Jr. and Austin Dillon down there as well, along with Corey LaJoie. Again, disappointing race, but I think we'll see an interesting race next week, and because next week is Michigan. Now, I don't know if it'll be great because Michigan, the track has not aged how I think a lot of us thought it would. It's taking a while to age, and I don't know why it is, but it's taking a long time for that thing to kind of wear down a little bit. But if the track temps are right, and let's see how much speed they're carrying into the corners, they should be full throttle. I don't see a reason why they shouldn't be full throttle. They might have to lift a tiny bit, but I don't think they kind of will have to. I'm anticipating maybe corner speeds to be up to 185, 186, or that's entry speeds, not corner speeds. Entry speeds will be 185, 186, and I think you can carry that kind of speed through the middle of the corner at Michigan, especially with all the downforce they have. So that's going to be a really interesting race. Michigan's the one race with this package I've been very intrigued to see what happens. Now, the Xfinity Series did do the race at Michigan as well, and I hated the Michigan race for the Xfinity Series because no one could get side by side. But what I think we've seen with this package is that momentum does play a big part, but I don't think they'll train out at Michigan. They might, but I don't think they will get in a single file train. So Michigan's the one race that I think has a ton of potential, but also has potential to be pretty poor. So that's something that I'm very intrigued about. And then we go to Sonoma after that, which we don't have to worry about the package, and Sonoma should be a good road course race. And then Chicagoland, which is going to be very interesting. We had a great Chicagoland race last year, but now with this year, we're going to be in hot temps most likely, and the track's already bumpy and worn out. So I think that's where this package struggles. So I don't know if we're going to see a great Chicagoland race. So the next few weeks for NASCAR is going to be very interesting. I don't know how it's going to play out, but like I said, I think this package works at certain racetracks in certain scenarios. I think a track like Kansas, a track like Charlotte, what else is on the schedule? A track maybe like Homestead might be a little bit too much tire wear, I think, for that package. Any track that is just, you need a little bit of blip. That's basically the characteristic I'm going for here. Don't need to use the brakes, just a little bit of blip, and I think you get a pretty good race out of it. So we'll see what happens. It has to be a nighttime race as well. So we'll see what happens, and we're entering that part of the summer schedule, which is just, I don't know, it's a little bit interesting, kind of dull, not much going on. You kind of know who's going to get in the, well, there's not really any playoff kind of anticipation because of the point standings and how it works, so not much going on. Comment down below what you thought of the race. I think, you know, if I had to give it a rating, it was, man, if I had to be honest, probably like a 4 out of 10. I mean, the strategy was cool at certain points, but that's the only thing that was giving the race any kind of legs to stand on. So, but it happens. I mean, I was not expecting a good race, and we've had to be fair, I think this season's been better than I expected it to be. The season's been pretty enjoyable, so I don't mind. I actually enjoy this season, and it's just you expect Pocono to have poor races. We're at that point where it's normal. If you guys like the video, make sure to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Did I even say new, or did I say you? I don't even know what I said. But if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Go check down what's on the channel, and please subscribe. I beg. You know, you probably don't want to see my face anymore, but who cares? Slap the like button if you enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you're not already. It is at RealRadman. Same as the YouTube channel if you want to go follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I occasionally tweet from here and there, you know, especially when Tottenham lost the Champions League final and I could breathe and, you know, the world was the right place again. So that was, wow, that was a big relief, guys. You don't understand. Oh my God. Well, we'll see you next week in Michigan. It should be a really, really interesting race. I'm very intrigued to see how that's going to go. So I'll see you guys next week, and take care. Have a good day. Peace out.
Even if I tried, even if I wanted to, and I can't change. Even if I tried, my love, she keeps me warm.